Good morning. Good morning and good morning. How you doing this morning? How has your morning been? How's the last couple of days been? Well, I can tell you mine have been good. Been doing some servicing, some just love, showing love to some of my friends in my circle that have been friends for years, and just showing them some love. I as I told you, I had a girlfriend, Angela. I love Angela so much. She's always been the absolute sweetest, most supportive person ever. But she's going through now where, her current memory isn't good. Um, and so I just surrounded her with my love and attention, and finding some other people who knew her and showed her some love yesterday. And so my word this morning is now. Sometimes we put now off, now we'll get to that later. And later sometimes means never, means never, meaning we never really showed people what we really wanted them to know, that we love them, we care about them, we're interested in how they are doing. To me, that has become my effort in life, is to let those who need to know how I feel, how I feel. Even if it doesn't mean, even if it means I don't see them as often as I would love to see them, just letting them know that I love them is important. That is just important to me. I'm just thinking, I don't even know what's on my counter. Oh, I washed some dishes earlier this morning, after having a little breakfast, and I didn't move them out the way. So sorry for that. But anyway, in my effort this morning of just saying, what do we know about ourselves? Sometimes we must know that we are procrastinators, and we may never get to the point where we actually do what we say we're going to do. I am a person that I try. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I try to do it. And already in my schedule this morning, I know that in between needing to get books back to the library and a meeting at noon, I still have some other commitments that I'm going to do around those other two commitments. And sometimes our now needs to be that we're planners. We're planners. We know what we're going to do next. And the next may be that, don't let them overlap to the point where neither one of them get done. Try to schedule enough time for each of them so that the now becomes actually a completed task once the now is over. Not that it continues and continues. And even when I was working on my doctorate, I was a little crazy because I let whatever it was I was working on, that became paramount. That became the necessary, the now. And so I found a poem this morning that I really love. I just think it really sets the tone for what we are talking about. In fact, I found another one that I'm going to read. Actually, I have two of them. This first one is by Harriet Monroe. Good morning, Erica. How are you doing? And you're a person that I know that you deal with your nows. And even if you don't, you have to know now is the time for me to get back to something. But anyway, this is by Yosemite Valerie. And it says, it is creation's morning. Freshly the rivers run, the cliffs' white brows adorning, sing to the shining sun. The forest, plumbed and crested, scales the steep granite wall. The range peaks glacier breasted, march to the festival. The mountains dance together, lifting their domed heads high. The cataract's foamy feather flaunts in the streaming sky. Good morning, Polly. How are you doing? Good to see you in the space. Today, our word is going to be now. How do we deal with now? It says, somewhere a babe is born, morning, excuse me. Somewhere a maid is won. It is creation's morning. Now is the world begun. Now is the world begun. And my second one, which I love, and I found this one this morning, um, and it doesn't have an author. It just says it's Let's Rise poetry. And sometimes our best thinking is done before we start our day. Some of us just start the day and they just let it rip. I like to kind of assess, what do I have to do today? How much is involved in that? What is it going to cost me in terms of my time and my money, or my effort? What's going to cost me? I figure it out before I even get out of bed, or I do it before I go to bed. So anyway, it says, let's rise. It says, the day came. I woke, I stretched, I pottered, I nibbled, I wandered, I dreamed, I kissed, I giggled, I loved. The day went and I had done nothing. Yet I had done everything. Sometimes we have to take the now into what is important. It's important to stretch. It's important to potter a little bit. It's important to nibble. I am a nibbler. It's important to dream, plan out. It's important to kiss and giggle and love. And it says, you have done something if you've looked at those things. You've done something. But in our now means now is the time to do it, not later. Do it now. Do it now. So when we break the word down, and I'm going to ask you this morning, do you get stuck sometimes in breaking down what it is that you have to do, getting to the point where this is more important than that? Do you prioritize? Write down if you're a person who prioritizes things. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Carney. Do you break down things? I know I am. I break down everything. And I think I told you, sometimes I write out things, because what I've found to be very important is that hand-eye coordination connects to brain understanding. So sometimes I will eventually get it to my computer, but I may start it on paper and pen, especially if I'm in a place where I don't need to be pulling out a phone and typing. So I will do it that way, and it just seemingly makes me expand more on. And I just sometimes just write and write and write. That's the way I do it. That's me. I don't know if you're a person who does it, who can write out things to do on your phone with a checklist, because I have that in my notes section where I can actually do things and check it off, or I just write it down. I try to. Okay, all right, that's good. So anyway, when we look at now talks about it being present in time, meaning we've given it, like along the spectrum of what to do when. And it says in the moment, right now. Okay, it says at this present moment, just now, at this time, right now. It says at this present time. All of these are the synonyms of what now would be. It says presently, at this minute. It says nowadays, today, these days, at this day and age. All of those are symbols of when we say our now comes up. Good morning, Maurice. How are you doing, sweetie? Good to see you in the space. Today our word is now. And I know I like now. I like now. And I have a tendency to work in the now. Sometimes the future planning of now, because eventually the now becomes, when was it planned? We probably planned it back then for now, for when it's going to happen. Good morning, Adelia. How are you? Today our word is now. And I just love it. I love the word now, because it places me in currency, and I'm currently in my space. I'm currently doing this right now, just making sure that I'm on time. That's now. making sure that I have my outline done of my discussion. That's a now. Making sure that I've, all of the preparations, if I needed to print something off, that's now, because now is when it's all necessary and needed. So that's how I deal with everything, writing it out, and either on paper and pencil or doing it on my phone. So when I look down the word, when I look up the word of now, and I think of what was conjured up by my N, I have that they're naggers, things that you don't get to, you still know you need to do them, so they become a nag. It's a nag, and it could be by a person telling you need to do something, or by a deadline that's approaching, or just by the fact that it's something that's not done. You need to do it. I got up this morning and I said, oh, I had I had somebody in yesterday checking something in my kitchen. It had been raining, and I didn't do it yesterday, but I'm gonna have to do it today, where I need to wipe down my floor. I need to and I didn't do it now because I had to go out, but today that's something that I need to pay attention to. So that's my now. But anyway, nagger, that's something nagging at me. And it says it could be a person or a thing, who basically, the nagger could be the criticizing that comes from somebody else, or you might be doing self-criticizing. Girl, you ain't finished that yet. You got to get to that. So it's especially, it could be something that is a habitual, meaning it will not go away until you get it done. How many of us realize that some things do not go away until you do it? I know that to be true. Okay. I may ask somebody to do something. That doesn't mean that they have the same commitment to get it done as to my urgency of wanting it done. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. So it says naggers, or also it says a person who nags someone to do something, someone who complains. It says typically it's going to be incessantly, and it's going to be irritating. not irritating, but irritating. It's like every time they open up their mouth, they're saying, can you, will you finish up? My daughter says I do that about, a couple of things that I want done. But listen, that old saying, just because it's your urgency, it does not make it mine. It just doesn't. I know it needs to be done, but that doesn't mean that anyone else is going to rush to do it. They will not. They will not. They will not. It says nagging to continually to be made aware. That's right. Absolutely. And for some people, it becomes an irritant. Why? They don't want to hear it. Why? Because they know they need to do what you're asking them to do, or what you're certainly capable of doing, but it doesn't make it where it's a rush job. To me, now means urgent, and a lot of times I remember when I was coming up, when my mother said, I want the dishes done now, that didn't mean 2 hours later. That didn't mean you can go sit down and watch TV or get on the phone or go write something in your diary. It did not mean that. It meant, excuse me, now means now. Means now. We don't always pay attention to our nows. Even the pings on the phone, we may hear them, and what do? We hit the button and snooze them. We snooze it. Another 2 hours, and then after it's done with its snoozability, it stops snoozing. It goes to dead. It doesn't even come on anymore. And so you understand, wow, I still got to do that, but it didn't ping me. Oh, yes, it did. You didn't hear it, or you heard it and you let it snooze. And that's what we do in our lives. Sometimes we know we need to do stuff, but we will not do it. We won't do it. And it also says that under now also means it's something natural. Okay. That it says something that just routinely happens that we know we need to do. We know there's a process to how to get something completed. We set up a plan and we carry it out. But if we don't do those things, it becomes just something in our to-do list or on our to-do list. We're going to get to it. We may not. We may not. And that's the same thing with friendships and love ships. If we don't tell anybody that we love them and we care about them and we're concerned and is there anything that we can do, then it may be that, our memory will leave us with just the last time we saw them, because they maybe they pass away. Maybe you leave. You don't even know. Maybe you get sick where you cannot respond. But my point is that now means that now do something. Do something for somebody and something for yourself, and knowing that you've done all that you can do to try to complete things or help people feel like, wow, they made me feel special. They looked after me. They called me. They stopped by. They brought me some flowers. They did something. And, no brag, but I don't know. I just get such a rise out of helping other people. I just think it's a beautiful thing that God gave me. I won't ever stop doing it. I will always, as long as I can, I will look after other people, making them feel good, feel good about who they are. So it says that under our end could also be that it's natural, that it takes place because it's a human intervention. We intended to do it. It's a now thing that could be routine, could become a routine if we know that that's what we want to do. It is a behavioral issue. It is characterized as by having an inherent skill or quality that just says, I love doing this for other people. It says it's a person who has an innate skill or feels at home doing something for someone. So, that basically says that is the now. No procrastination and no hesitation. No procrastination and no hesitation. You're going to do it. You're going to do it because you want to do it. Good morning, Deb. Hey, babe, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you in the space. So today our word is now. And, now means just what it says, not later, now. Hey, Gloria, you are blessed with the gift of helping. Thank you, babe. I love you. I love you. I love all of you guys that come into this little space with me. And I know, sometimes after I see that a lot of people looked at the video, but my point is this, is that if I can get to a few can get to more that they know that become more. And then it becomes more. And so I don't so much, worry about the numbers, although the numbers say that I'm doing fine. But I like the fact that you all come in and do a little something with me every now and then. And that's most appreciated. When we move in our word of now, sometimes we do realize it. I'm not going to lie. It's obvious. The now, the what needs to be done now is obvious to us. No mistaking it. We know we need to do it. Okay? We know we need to do it. Our children know, our co-workers know, they know what they need to do. But sometimes we just say, we'll do it later. I used to always call my daughter when she was little. I said, Shayla's time to eat. And she would always give me this look of, I'll be there in a minute. Oh no, you come now. Now. She didn't find it to be necessary that she came now. And so, we had to have that conversation about now means immediately and later means later on. It wasn't acceptable. Just like I said, my mother with the dishes, we already knew what needed to be done. And I would always tell my daughter from the frame of mind of, if it's something that I may be calling you to come because it's dangerous if you stay where you are, then that means it's important whenever I say now. But, children, they want to test you a little bit. But anyway, obvious says that it's easily seen, easily recognized or understood, or something that we can comprehend. Sometimes it says it is viewed as necessary. It is knowledge and it's evident, meaning we don't have to make it up. we know what we need to do. We know when we have things that are in, a list of things to do for the day, things to do for the week, things to do for a club, for church, for our businesses, whatever it is, there is a now factor to it. I know I need to work on my website. I know it. And I put it off because when I was working with them, they were just a little slow in getting it done. So I let them slow me to ask them to do more that they actually are paid for. So you just have to go back and re-examine how you approach your now, because sometimes other people can define your now by their inability or uninterest or unintentional attention. um, Nothing gets done. You pay attention to it, but they don't. It's your priority, not theirs. We sometimes we become slack on getting things done because who we might be waiting on doesn't move forward, and therefore that hinders any happening after that. So the now becomes important, but it's also very obvious when something isn't done. It says when something is obvious, it says it's undeniable, accessible, it's clear to us and to everyone else. I never wanted to be, I never liked being critiqued as a team, but sometimes the team leader or maybe even a team member may be really the one that everything rests on. But sometimes that's the only way you can go forward, is you have to move the wheel that you're on. You have to be a part of that, even if other people are not chiming in. I think I was talking to your husband the other day, Gloria Gregg, and he was interesting because we were having this discussion. We were both getting some work done on our cars, and we were having this discussion about, when you have a group, and you have a group, and the group may start out as being just a two. Just first it's no group because it's just you and you can get things done, and then you got two, so which is a duo, and then you have a triad, and sometimes classes will do you like that. You end up with a quad, and then next thing you know, you have octagon groups, and so forth, pentagons, and then you have what they call a massive group. you know what do you do with those when you still have to produce? Well, to me, you always have to have somebody that is in the view of the bullseye, where what we have to get to. Even though that there's a lot of slackers in the group that may never work towards the center, work towards getting things done. So you still always have to have somebody that's looking at getting to the finish line, completing things. And for me, what I did, even in the classes that I had, that I was angry that, there were just two of us that really did most of the work, but everyone got the A. Everyone got the A. And sometimes you have to look at that in family functions and church functions and work functions. You might have a project that's due, and it may be only one or two people who work the project, but the entire team or the entire agency gets the credit. So you have to understand that sometimes leaning in to that now may require more of one person than it does of the entire group, even though the entire group gets the credit. And so to me, if you have to deflate your ego and let it go, because the credit is still given. It's just that it wasn't necessarily given properly, but it was still given nonetheless. So when we talk about things being obvious, that means they're clear, they're discernible, they're evident, it's noticeable, it's overt, it's pronounced, meaning you don't have to even worry about it. It is what it is. It's distinctive, it's evident. When we look at what is required, we usually look at the requirements along with determining what it is that they're requesting of us. How many of you have been in a position be it at church, at school, at work, in the family, where a project was going to be done. Maybe it's a family reunion, or it's a a tea or a fashion show, or a project that needs to be done for the job. Um, when all is said and done, you may be angry throughout getting it done, but nonetheless, if there's a deadline, everybody knows the deadline. They know the suspense date. They know what needs to be done. They know how much time needs to be given to it. Yet and still doesn't mean that they're going to be the true contributors. So sometimes the now of all of what is at risk falls on one or two people. So sometimes now becomes, just necessary, plain and simple. You just got to do it. And lastly, my W says the work must be put in. That's the now. If no one puts in any work, then now becomes something elusive, something way out there, something unattainable. It exists, but it can't be reached because no one planned to do the work. So the work of now must be done now. Must be done now. So now talks about activity involving the mental, the physical, basically effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the idea. How does this work? Who needs to do what? Are you someone who can, delegate to many and get things done? Or is it that you would do all the work and the many get the accolades along with yourself? I've been in some groups where they actually will say, we put in a little bit of work, but most of the work was done by X person, Y person. So that's good. That is good, because to me, if you're working in groups and you know that now exists, the problem is if no one gets, respect, acknowledgement, something to restore their angst, to alleviate their angst, not restore it, but to alleviate their angst, then what do you have? You just have animosity. You say, yeah, we did good, but excuse me, we did good not as a whole. We did good as a one and a two that worked on it. And this is what our result was. So that was good. But nonetheless, so the work has to be put in. And that means when we put in our work, we're going to put in the labor. We're going to put in the toil, the exertion. We're going to put in the effort. And so sometimes we're going to do the drudgery, meaning we know it's difficult. It's a tough hill to climb. There's a lot of research that needs to be done. There's a lot of money that needs to be raised. When you think of all the things that you've been involved in, sometimes you have to draw back long enough to say, wow, that's all I need to do. It's too much. Because sometimes it is too much. It is too much. Meaning then, to me, that's when you look at how can I break this down to make it into maybe 2 sections or 3 sections, to make it where each goal I reach along the ultimate goal of total completion says that I'm making progress. Sometimes when progress is seen, progress is recognized, progress is then enjoyed, But if all you have is yourself in between you and the goal of completion, it may be too difficult. Because some people, they go right to the finish line. They never realize that making it to the finish line required some steps. It required some organization, some posturing, some positioning, something. You just don't get to the finish line unless you put in now, and then now again, and then now again into completion. Sometimes that's how it goes. It just goes like that. So work also talks about putting in a little sweat, a little elbow grease, and having maybe a little grind to it. I always talk to people, and some people say, I'm out here and doing this grind. And I understand that. They're doing the work. They're putting it in. They're getting it done, only to say that they completed something along, the spectrum of when they are either being graded, looked at for something, but there's something being required of them for whatever the reasons. So I would say that looking at now is important. We can't let it go. We can't let it go. I was talking to a few people recently, and they were talking about the things that they were involved in and working on. And I asked them, "Well, how's it going?" And one of them said that they're almost near completion. So, of course, I gave them, the applause. I said, "All right, they're almost completing, finishing up some coursework." For the other person I was talking to, they said, "Well, you know, with family and work." And I said, "Listen, there's always going to be obstacles, no matter who we are. When you have your heart set, your mind set, and your actually with like your archery, that's what I was trying to say, your archery of a bow and arrow headed towards that target, that's all you want. That's all you want. But it doesn't mean that the first, bow you let off is going to work. The arrow's not going to go where you want it to go. But nonetheless, you still have to continue working. So the work has to be put in, the grind has to be put in. So I hope you guys understand that now is much more important than later, because now says there's a plan and process. There's work being done. There's, rings being worked on as you go higher and higher to completing. That's how I look at things, I look at everything of how can I complete it. And, since I'm not president of my Rotary Club anymore as of 3 weeks ago, now I'm looking at, okay, you got time to get back to do some of the other things that you were doing. So those are on my list of needing to get back to. But anyway, I hope you've had a good session with me, that you've enjoyed it, that you understand I come out here every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with an idea. And I do it from experience. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I just experience something that just says I need to do with this now. And that's how this started, just seeing a girlfriend who I told you was going through some things. And to me, it wasn't that I was in any way trying to let it be known of where she was in life, but let it be known that there are people that love her no matter what portion of life she's in, and that sometimes it's very significant that we just come together and show each other our love and care and kindness. So anyway, that's my session for today on now. I will do now as long as I can. And then when I can't do now, I'll do see you later. But anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. When you get up tomorrow morning, or even the rest of the day, because it's still kind of early, consider your now. Plan it out. Don't let it be that you've gone through a day and you feel you got nothing done, although giving a kiss and a hug and a handshake and a smile and and a thank God or whatever else that you do in your mornings, keep that there, because that's your now. But then go on to do other things that become just as close as those nows. Now is now. Okay, I'll see you on my goodness, already it's Friday. I'll see you on Friday. Can't believe it. It'll be the 19th already. Seemed like the month just came in. Didn't we just have July 4th? All right, I'm just acting up. But anyway, I see you soon. Love you very much. Hey, hit share and let people know that there's somebody out here. No cost to them. Just sharing it is all that I'm requesting. Have a great day. Love you so much. Bye-bye.